morning and welcome to Across the Tri-State Public Affairs Programming brought to you courtesy of 98.3 The Rock. I'm Lisa Jordan, and today on the program is my guest, Jamia Cinelli of Joni and Friends. Good morning, Jamia. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Lisa. Good morning.
We're really grateful that we could share with the Tri-State today about the ministry of Joni and Friends. Tell us about Joni and Friends. For those who may not know and be aware of the ministry, tell us about Joni and Friends International Disability.
Sure. Well, some people may know our founder, Joni Erickson Tata. Joni was in a diving accident when she was 17 years old. She took a dive into the Chesapeake Bay, hit a sandbar, and became quadriplegic. And then she was just so depressed, despondent after that accident. I mean, she was an athletic 17-year-old girl, and then she became a quadriplegic. So she didn't want to live, really. She says if she could have gotten a hold of pills or a razor blade, she would have tried to take her own life. But instead, God spared her, and friends started reaching out to her. And one of the quotes that I love is that a friend told her, Joni, sometimes God permits what he hates to accomplish that which he loves. So, trying to make a long story short, then she was on the Today Show. She made a movie. The Billy Graham Evangelistic Association made a movie. She wrote a book, and people started writing her letters. How can you be happy? How can you live in this condition, this situation? So she started responding to these letters at her kitchen table with friends. And that was the beginning of the ministry of Joni and Friends, just responding to individuals who have disability or impacted by disability. And that was back in 1979. So over 40 years later, we have grown to an international ministry. And our vision is a world where every person finds dignity, value, and his or her place in the body of Christ. And we do that in a multitude of ways that I'd love to tell you more about.
Now, Jamia, what is your position with Joni and Friends? What do you do? Tell us about yourself.
Sure. I'm the area director, so I oversee all the programs and ministries that we do here. And this office serves all of Ohio, West Virginia, Eastern Indiana, and Western Pennsylvania. So we provide services our main goal is really to equip churches. So we have a ministry relations manager who goes out and provides training and resources for churches. We want churches to be able to welcome families in who have a disability. Many families still call us and they say, we were asked to leave another church. And sometimes churches they don't know how to welcome a family who may have a child who doesn't act like the other children. But that doesn't mean that family doesn't need to be part of the church or doesn't need to be loved on, and that they don't have their own God-given gifts and talents. So we go out and we try to make that church feel more comfortable and help them to embrace that family into their body. And then we have our operations, which is kind of the other side of the coin, where we provide services to families directly. And our legacy programs for that are we do 3 family retreats in the summer. We do a marriage getaway that just happened back a couple weekends ago. We're doing a halftime respite event that's coming up in a couple weeks from now. So throughout the year, we are trying to provide services for families that will allow them to know their child with a disability was not a mistake, not an accident, that they are created in God's image and God has a plan for their lives. So I oversee all of that here in the Ohio area.
Well, we're so grateful that we have that resource that's accessible through Joni and Friends and your part in it. You have a commission, according to the scriptures, to do and go. Tell us about that. What is your mission? What is your commission?
We call that the Luke 14 mandate, where Christ tells you to go out and bring in the blind, the poor, the lame, the crippled, and so that his house will be full. And when Christ gives a specific like that, we need to take note of it. So Joni has said that's our commission, that's our charge. She says, let's get going, as only Joni can say. And we want to go out and find the individuals that don't know they're loved by the Lord, don't know that they were created in his image. So that is our main goal. We do that both domestically and around the world. We go into third world countries where people, some of their cultures actually see a disability as a curse. And we find people hiding in back bedrooms or in dark alleys or in forests and jungles. And we go in and partner with local churches there and take teams and wheelchairs. We take teams. My coworker just got back from Mexico a few weeks ago. We have a team leaving for Argentina soon. We get another team going to El Salvador. So we take wheelchairs that have been refurbished. They've been donated, then refurbished. And that's another interesting part of the ministry, is that they've been refurbished at prisons. Prisoners who are serving sentences can then volunteer their time or work in the wheelchair workshop. And it's a thing of beauty to see individuals who, well, I had one young man say to me, "This is the only thing I've ever done in my life that matters." And I wish my mom could see me, and that touched this mama's heart. So yeah, it's so neat. And then those chairs are taken to third world countries in, like new condition. It is amazing. And we take a team of mechanics, assistant mechanics, occupational therapists, physical therapists that can be these seating assistants or seating therapists. We take support individuals. We need somebody who could be a photographer, somebody who can gather stories, somebody who can be a seamstress or work with wood. We have these teams that go and help the individuals receive that chair. So we work for hours sometimes on one chair to make sure it properly fits the individual. We don't want to do more damage to an individual by giving them an ill-fitting chair. And then most of all, we share the gospel with them. So after they receive their chair or whatever mobility device it is they need, they receive a copy of the Bible and a copy of the Johnny book in their own language, and a pastor shares with them the plan of salvation. And then we connect them with a local Bible-believing church. So it is just a beautiful thing, again, that we're reaching not only here domestically, but around the world as well.
I'm interested to know how you came to Joni and Friends. Do you have a story about maybe what brought you to this ministry? Do you have an experience of your own that brought you here?
Yeah, I do. It's such a neat story. I in my testimony, I say God doesn't waste anything. And so I can see, it's much easier to look back, hindsight, and see how God is working and preparing. But my father was actually a paraplegic. He was in a mining accident when I was only 2 years old. So I never remember seeing my father walk here on earth, but I claim the promise that I'm going to see him walk in heaven, and I'm trying not to get emotional. But so that seed had been planted with me. But interestingly, I never connected that. Like, I knew as I was growing up, as I was a teenager, I just had a love for people with disabilities. And my mom was babysitting for a family who the wife had a son with Down syndrome. And she called me one day and she said, "Jama, will you take David to church with you?" And this was very interesting. I attended a Baptist church and she was Catholic. And I thought, well, this is interesting that she wants me to take him to church with me. But she was crying and she said, "I tried to sign him up for catechism classes and they turned me down. They said he was too disruptive." And that just broke my heart. And I knew, like, the Lord just placed that desire in me. So back when I was a teenager, I started taking this little boy to church with me. He came to know the Lord. His family came to know the Lord. It was a thing of beauty. And I've left out a lot of details there, but it just seemed like a natural thing. I knew how to work with him. I taught other teachers in our church how to work with him. So I really was doing disability ministry before I even knew what disability ministry was. It was just a love that the Lord had given to me. And then I moved, when I got married, I moved to Pennsylvania, and I was attending a church there, and they were having a Joni and Friends training. And I thought, oh, wow, that sounds interesting. I knew who Joni was, my mom had had a painting of hers in our house when I was a little girl. And mom had always told me this painting was done by the lady that paints with the paintbrush between her teeth. And I thought, okay, this is cool. So I went to this training and I sat there. And again, this was in my adult life. I had been working for Goodwill Industries for over 20 years, 25 years. And again, it was working in the Pittsburgh area at the time. And I never thought I would leave. I loved what I did. I worked with individuals with disabilities, but helping them find a job. So I went to this training at my church, and the lady that was doing the training, I sat there and I thought, oh, wow, I could do this job. This is marrying both of my loves, my love for the Lord and my love for people with disabilities. Little did I know, fast forward, that was her last training. She was retiring. I got her job. And then now 9 years later, I have moved into the area director position, and I love it. And I just see God's hand moving, getting me here. And it's interesting. Usually every person that works for Joni Friends, there's a calling. It's not just a job, it's a calling. And you can see how God moved to get us here. So
that's amazing. I can see it in your face. I can.
Sorry, I took up a lot of time, but you asked. So
usually when someone is passionate about something, God has already deposited that in their spirit as a gift before the foundation of the world, that we should walk in these works. So it's fun to see that that come to pass and fruition, and see your enthusiasm and passion. I know that you have many challenges with Joni and Friends. What would you say is your biggest challenge with this ministry and the need of the ministry?
Well, you heard me say that we cover Ohio, Eastern Indiana, Western Pennsylvania, and all of West Virginia. And I have a staff of 2 full-time and 3 part-time individuals. So volunteers is the greatest need. 98% of the work that we do as a ministry is done by volunteers. And right now, I mentioned that we have our legacy retreats. We have a week coming up in June 16th through the 20th at Shawnee Lodge. So it's close to some of your listeners, I believe.
Absolutely.
And we still need volunteers for that week. We have had families, thank the Lord, we have been able to bring families in off a waiting list. We were afraid we were going to have to turn them away, but we're actually moving some of our leadership into a one-to-one position, which isn't ideal, but that's the level of sacrifice that we'll make to be able to bring families in. So if you have a listener who is interested in serving, please let us know. We need to be making decisions like yesterday, on getting the volunteers there. And it's just doing a week of life with a person with a disability. Their parents are still there, their caregivers are still there, but you just come alongside them to give a little bit of a break. And I guarantee you, anybody that comes to serve, we do call it a short-term missions opportunity, because you are being a missionary to that family for the week, and you will not regret it. I could talk for hours on the blessing of family retreat.
Okay, family retreat is June
16th through the 20th. Volunteers would arrive on Sunday afternoon, June the 5th.
Okay, so if somebody wanted more information about volunteering for this week, where would they go to get more information about volunteering?
Yeah, I see. I think we had a little glitch there for a second, but I hope we're okay. So we do have our web /Ohio, and that's the place to go, or you can call our office. We would love to share information with you, but the need is urgent. Have everything. We have to have our week is this week.
Okay. Again, that's joniandfriends.org. You could volunteer for this wonderful week where friends and family gather at Shawnee Lodge in Friendship, Ohio for this event for Joni and Friends. Thank you, Jamia, for sharing with us today on Across the Tri-State. We're going to have you back again. Promise you'll keep in touch, all right? Thank you.